And
Okay.
we'll do a roll call. Marilyn Minishimichi
Gina
Barb.
Esposito.
or somebody.
Alec McMurrin.
Mary Ellen
Fish.
Anderson.
Barb Fish.
Mary Ellen Anderson.
There's Elise.
Tara
There
Alcott.
she is.
Gina, did you sign in?
Yeah, I did say my name, but I think maybe I got over.
So how are you see? I'm seeing it where it's me, Barb, Atlas, like that.
No,
No.
they're different order. What
Okay.
we do on the MDT meetings, because there's so many people there, we just
Yeah.
have the secretary, or I just say who I see,
Oh, gotcha.
and then Karen can just type it out, because otherwise we're all just like did it.
Right.
Did it.
Good idea. Good
And
idea.
also, just so you know, when I post this to the borough website, I post the video so everybody can see who's here,
Oh,
Oh,
lovely.
not just the audio. And so,
And where we are.
yes, and where we are.
Okay, so, so we did approval of the minutes from, what is the date? February, oh, I'm sorry, January 21st. No, yes, that's what we want. We want to approve those minutes.
I make
made-
a motion to approve the minutes from the February meeting.
Actually, I got you
January.
wrong. It's the January 21st meeting because we are in we were supposed to be in February.
Oh, right,
Okay.
sorry, the January. I make a motion to approve the January minutes.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? All righty. So do we have anybody that wants to put amendment to the meeting agenda?
I have one.
Okay.
And Terry, you're probably going to do this anyway, is just a status of the library, how people pick up books, because I've had questions.
Oh yeah, I'll talk about that in my report.
Okay.
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 And I have one too. I'd like to add it under 9C, and that's the Sunday opening discussion.
Ah,
Under which, or new business? I'm sorry.
No, under discussion items, which is number 9C. So it'll be like the last thing we talk about before.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so I'd like to, let's have a motion to approve the minutes.
I move that we approve the updated minutes.
Thank you.
Agenda.
Agenda.
Yes,
Sorry, I move that we approve the updated agenda.
a second. I can't do it.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, I think when Tara told us we were going to be, people could actually see us. That must have thrown us off a little. We usually don't stumble this much. Don't tell us that, Tara. Okay, visitors views related and unrelated to the agenda. Do we have anybody that might want to zoom in, Tara?
Not that I'm aware of. Nope.
Okay, so the next one is a staff report. You're up.
Okay, so you've probably all heard we're closed. Time there. So thankful for the community risk status level, because that really helped us make the decision. I mean, really what had the chain of events was the EOC decided to go to red status because of the case count. The borough manager decided to close all the facilities, and so we closed, and we will remain closed until we come out of red status. So we didn't, of course, we don't know week to week how long this lasts. Every Monday, the EOC evaluates the situation and then will tell us, usually by noon, what the status is going to be. And then I'll make a decision about opening based on that by the end of the day. So that's kind of the rhythm that we're going to be in for the next couple of weeks. So you're aware. And our first week, of course, we hoped we'd only be closed a week. Here we are, our second week. I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure we'll be open next week at the rate things are headed right now. So, initially what we did is we froze holds. So any active holds that we had in the facility, because we weren't yet prepared to start a new process. But just today, actually, we started our new process. So the holds that we had here that people were waiting for, we had a special time at lunchtime where people could come and pick up the holds. Martha called them last night. Today at lunch, people picked up their holds. It actually went really, really well because we're trying to minimize any staff contact with the public right now. So people aren't coming into the building. They're just coming right into the Arctic entryway, and there's a cart and they just pick the thing with their item on. It's already checked out. They leave the building. And so we like the way it worked. And so we think that, well, we have now made it, we turned off holds in our online catalog for a while, just for this past week as we watched and tried to consider what was going to happen. We've turned, those will be back on, I believe, tomorrow. And then we're going to start pulling holds for people, and probably early next week when we decide, when the EOC decides to keep us in red status, if they decide to keep us in red status, then we'll do some publicity about curbside pickup.
Mhm.
We'll start talking a little bit more broadly about what we do. That'll just give us a chance to ease into it and make sure we have a good, efficient system in place that the staff I have on hand can handle, because staff are for the most part staying out of the building. Chris and I come in, but we stay in our separate areas. It's easy to stay apart. Martha comes in to help do things like holds and shelving. But we have, Kari is out of town on emergency family medical. And we have another staff person that's a close contact of a positive. And so we're just trying to all stay apart as much as we can, which is why we're not doing that inventory that we had planned to do last week or anything like that. I just don't want people to get together given the nature of community spread that we're seeing right now. So any other questions about closure?
I have one. I have a bunch of books I wanted to bring back. And of course I know to look. Anyway, I looked and it said that you're doing the drop off,
Yeah, you
which
can
is really good. Maybe when you decide to start doing that, people can start picking up holds or put items on hold, maybe a community announcement saying that you can drop off your books.
That's a great idea. I had not thought of that. So
Yeah.
I'll make sure that's part of our messaging going forward.
Good. That's all I had on that part.
Tara, is that Monday you would make that decision, or
Yeah,
Monday, sometime Monday? Okay,
yeah. The EOC meets Monday mornings, so by noon I should have an answer to the question. And
okay.
it's- yeah, it's pretty clear when we'll open
Yeah.
again. And actually, in some ways, it's good we didn't open this week because we wouldn't have the staff to be open given the staffing situation I described before. There's just not enough of us. So we'll see what happens next Monday. I'm not optimistic though that we'll reopen, unfortunately. Anything else with regards to the closure?
So so anybody who would like to put a book on hold will be able to do that starting tomorrow, and then they will be called when the book is here and told when they can come pick it up. Is
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
it? Okay.
And if you guys hear questions in the community, not that many of us are seeing people right now, but if you hear things or you have ideas about ways we could communicate better about what's going on, just let me know. I'm open to suggestions. And yeah, I'm sure it, just like every time we do this, it's sort of we make it up as you go along. So any feedback is welcome.
Tara, the one thing that you could do is put it on and it probably will be on the borough website, because I look at that every morning and look at the count and just have the borough update. I think the fact the library was closed was already on there.
You know, the individual departments that information is, I mean, really what we have on the borough website is that all departments are closed.
Yeah,
So, yeah, so that'll stay on there
yeah, okay.
for the duration of the red status that we're in.
When you also have the big announcement on the website itself, on the library website.
Yeah,
Yep,
it's
we're
front and
closed.
center on the library's website right now, and it's running on KFSK.
Yes.
Let's see, I shared this with a few of you before the meeting started. As while we're in red status, it appears that I will be working full-time for the EOC again. So I'm not really doing much library work except for this meeting and a few other little things. So yeah, it's a full-time job when we're in red. I guess I didn't know that going into it, but that's the case. And it's going as well as can be expected. In library land, we got a $3,000 grant from First Bank for Summer Stream. So that's exciting. I didn't have a chance to go back and look, but I think this is like the 13th year they have funded the summer program. They are amazing.
Yeah.
Each grant application, they turn it around in a heartbeat, and they're so supportive. And yeah, they're great partners. And so we're fully funded for our summer reading program, which is awesome. Kari's out of the office right now, but when she gets back, I can't wait to share the news, because I think her idea about what we can do will grow, because we were kind of operating with a smaller budget in mind when we were planning the program a few weeks ago, but now we can kind of think a little bit bigger. So that's really fun.
Will you be getting the word out to people that normally are and want to donate for the Summer Stream program, that now's the time?
Yeah, we plan to do that later this month, early next month. So probably
Okay.
you'll start to see calls for people to make donations. And we'll be focusing on cash donations this year, because the summer reading program is really going to take a slightly different shape than it has. For those of you that were in the loop, we used to have a ton of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And just due to COVID and due to the just various changes of how we're supposed to operate, and also the complexity of what we did before was a real headache. Even though it was really cool, man, it was a lot of work for Jess. And so, and just the logistical piece was intense. And so we're going to a simplified version of the prizes now. So I think we have 12 great prizes of a certain value that we've already selected, like STEAM kits and art kits and hammocks and stuff. And then we'll also be giving a couple of grand prizes out, probably just larger cash amounts. And so it'll be a lot more simple. And then we'll probably give a prize to every kid that completes the program, something like a slice of pizza, or just some sort of a token reward for doing such a great job. So it'll look a little different, and we're trying to imagine what that'll be like right now. And it'll be really focused on being online, heavily focused, just like last year. And just so you know, last year we bundled Summer Stream, we bundled adults and little kids into that program. But this year we are going to separate them back out again, because we found that was just a little, didn't quite jive the way that we hoped it would. And so there'll be a little kids program, like a Read to Me program, with a separate set of incentives and activities to do the Summer Stream program, which is aimed at, I think, 5 to 13-year-olds. And then 13 and up is going to be a big teen and adult program, essentially an adult program of the kind that you're used to seeing from us, to log your reading minutes, win prizes kind of thing. We haven't really thought much about that one yet. It might get more interesting than that when we plan it, but that's sort of the overall structure of our 3 programs planned for the summer. So, any questions?
Good.
Oh, well, no, that's okay. When we talk about the Friends, we have something that might tie in with that, but so I don't know if you want to know that now or with Friends.
If you
Sue Paulson and I were talking about just saying, oh, Sue was like, Library Week is coming up. I think it's the second week of April, which it always is. What can we do? And we were just, bouncing things back and forth. And we came up with, we've talked about it before in here with the library board, and that is the bookmarks. And how it came up, I once again had in my book a bookmark that from one of the contests that Maddie Parker had done when she was 6. Okay, she's like 21 now. I think it's time. Anyway, it's really cute. Obviously, a big hook, and I'm hooked on books, Anyway, so we were thinking that the Friends, actually, it isn't during Summer Stream, but we can support Summer Stream too. Anyway, the Friends would support and do whatever, and talk with Kari about during Library Week, have it build up to pick winners, have different categories, have some judges, you know, have young kids, older kids, and adults like that. Anyway, so that's what the Friends are talking about. And it doesn't have anything to do with Summer Stream. Sorry about that.
Okay, good.
Aw. Oh, we can talk about that again when we get down to Friends.
Yeah, okay.
You could think about it.
So let's see, our snow melt system in our front sidewalk is working again, which is awesome. And our CCTV system, which we've been discussing over the last couple of meetings, is half installed. So the inside cameras are all up and working. We love it. It's beautiful. It's a massive improvement over our last system. And the support we get from Deveron is amazing. So it's good all around. Little hiccup with setting up some of the networking capacity for the outside cameras. We're just waiting on PCS, who's the city's IT support. They just need to do some work on our network before Deveron can set up the cameras the way he needs to set them up. So that's just a little hurdle that we've hit, which hopefully will clear up in the next couple of weeks. And another thing on the sort of building maintenance side of things is I'm working right now to with Siemens as a company, and everyone's heard of Siemens, right? They're just one of those big, huge companies. Well, though that company it basically built our mechanical system, and so and it's all automated to a certain degree, and so we've been working with Siemens to establish a remote connection between us and them so that we could help. It just gives us a little bit more of a proactive approach to troubleshooting the system. Like right now, what happens is we come in and we're like, the building feels stagnant, or it sounds so quiet in here. Because normally it sounds like you're on a ferry when you're in the library, because you can hear the whole HVAC system doing its stuff. And so that's how we troubleshoot now. Like there's a problem and we see it, and then we go into the system and find out, yeah, okay, I can see there's a problem. So we're going to try to turn that around. And hopefully with the way the remote access is set up, is that things like the boiler being below temperature, being under 120 or something, it will automatically send an alert to my cell phone. And so if it happens on a Sunday, I'll get the call, I'll come over and look at it. I will call whatever contractor I need to get the job done.
Right.
So that's in the works too. And that's all I have for my report.
I have a question. I was wondering how Lisa Schrammick's classes went.
The watercolor class went fantastic. We found that the knitting class, even though it's great, it didn't really get the sign up that we had hoped it would. So there was a few empty spots in that class, but I haven't had a chance to talk to Kari about how it's going. I'll bet it's going well though. I think Lisa's a very talented teacher, and she's very enthusiastic about the Zoom platform. So
So the watercolor and the knitting one is done, right? Because it was
no,
a month.
Watercolor is done and knitting is in progress, I think.
Oh, it is. Okay. Okay. Yep. I contemplated it, but don't have
No.
time right now.
Too many things.
Too many things. Great. I'm glad it was a success, the watercolor. Yeah. Okay. Unfinished business. I don't know. Do we have any?
No.
Anybody think of it? No. New business, the budget, which did you guys all get that Tara sent?
Mhm.
Maybe printed it off, or you're looking at it right now?
Just got to go back and find it. I mean, I have it up, but I have to go to another screen. Got it.
So I have a question about the periodicals, which is dropping, and how much we are budgeting for it. So is it people aren't checking out magazines as much, or is it because of COVID? Were they checking out magazines before, or how's that all work?
It's actually, people are checking out more magazines than before. Anecdotally, I haven't had a chance to go and look at the statistics, but Christopher,
Okay.
you noticed that with the reshelving, is that seems to be more magazine circulation than before. The periodical budget, I mean, it actually has stayed pretty stable over the last couple of years. It goes
Mm-hmm.
down sometimes because a lot of publications have ceased publication and there's not a replacement publication. And we're also limited in the amount of room we can grow in that collection. It's just you can only have a certain number of subscriptions, and newspapers are dropping off because they're just so expensive and they come so late.
Right.
You get a bundle of Did You Know newspapers 2 weeks after they're out of date. And so is it worth, I think it's at least $1,000 a year for something like that. I mean, that's actually a huge amount of our budget is newspapers. And so is it worth it to have out of date news in today's world? Probably not. And so,
Right.
yeah, so it's going down, I think more in the newspaper section in the last year than I think Sitka. We cut Sitka because it was just so late and so out of date.
So how does it work if if folks are in the library and they get online? Would it work that the library had a subscription to the Juneau Empire and the Sitka paper? Would more than one computer be able to be on it at a time in there, or how does that work? Because that's like, I don't know, that would be way less than $1,000. If
Yeah,
that's
access with our, if we maintain a subscription, we have online access to it. But I don't know if it depends on the newspaper. I don't think Sitka is online. I just don't know if they have that capacity. Juneau is, but a lot of the content is already free online.
Well, because I used to get a subscription, or I subscribed to the online, and then I stopped because I'm doing Anchorage. But so I can't get into very many of the articles.
Okay,
I mean, I can go to the newspaper and I can read the headline, but if I read the article,
okay.
they'll give you maybe 2 a month free, and then they go, oh, you're over your limit.
We haven't had any patron requests for that.
Okay.
But if we did, we'd look into it.
Right.
I think online subscriptions, they're not really meant to be shared. The cheap ones aren't meant to be shared. The expensive ones are meant to be shared.
Okay.
Oh, that reminds me, Marilyn, I didn't share with the group. I remember that online U.S. newspaper database.
Right.
Asked me to look into the cost. And so this is a product that gives you access to, I don't know, a couple hundred of the major dailies in the U.S. and it's thousands of dollars to get access.
Anchorage is doing it, and I saw something about that, so I forwarded it to Tara. Said, "Can we do this?" But
scaled up. I mean, it's scaled for bigger libraries. That's always the problem with
sure.
It's scaled up for communities of minimum of 15,000, and so they'll charge you what that library could afford, but not what you can afford.
Yeah.
But I did forward that particular request up to the state to see if maybe as a consortium of libraries, we could band together and buy a subscription.
Right.
About that.
That would solve a lot of problems, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. But whether or not those, because they're companies trying to make money, they often don't want that to happen. They don't want us to share.
Yeah.
They want us to pay for the access to the resource.
Right. Okay, that's what I had. Does anybody else have a question?
I have a comment about, there's two, if I remember correctly, 2 Anchorage daily newspapers, the Anchorage Daily News and the Anchorage Daily Planet. And we check both of those every morning. And as far as I know, it's free of charge, and I know the Daily Planet, you can look at the articles online.
Well, I don't think you can on the Daily News.
No, I don't think you can. You can look
Yeah.
at the headlines.
Yeah.
Right.
I see you've zeroed out travel training.
Yeah.
Training travel.
Yeah, that's because it's not because, well, now we never travel.
Right.
It's because we use grant money to do that.
That's right.
There's money from the state and money through the Institute for Museum and Library Services that allow us to take advantage of things like that. And I think this coming March, actually, later this month, the Alaska Library Association is going to have a remote conference. And I don't even know if they'll charge for that. So, I mean, I probably will participate in parts of that. But yeah, we just try to find other ways to fund those particular activities.
Right. Does anybody else have
yes,
any questions
have a
maybe
question.
about the budget?
Tara, when you were doing the EOC work, is that come out of the library budget or something else?
Well, I'm salaried, so I make the same amount regardless of how much work I do or what I do. So it's not really coming out of the library's budget, but it's cutting into my library time. That's the only way
Right.
to describe it. Yeah.
Right, okay. So, and is that a reason that the, what is it, salaries are, we have the same amount of staff, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the biggest, everything is flat in this budget, the way I like it. So
For salaries.
we don't draw any attention to ourselves. But there's one sort of cost that always goes up, and that's at the top, salaries and benefits.
Mhm.
Those are sort of the uncontrolled costs. And so when you're seeing a much larger increase in salaries than usually what we see, and that's because I got a pay increase when I took on the web administrator
Oh, okay.
duties for the borough. And so I've been talking to Steve about that. I'd be more comfortable it wasn't in the library budget, frankly.
Mhm.
Yep,
But he doesn't, he thinks it's fine in the budget and he will speak to it if it comes up for discussion with the assembly.
Hmm.
So
How
we're
much
not
ti-
really, none of us are in a position of having to defend it. It was a
Right.
decision he made and it's a decision that he'll speak to if it comes up as part of the conversation. So
and Tara, when we're not in red status, how much of your time is EOC time?
it varies from week to week. Some weeks it's 10 hours and some weeks it's 20 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gets a little easier all the time.
Well, you've got the templates done now. You just have to
Right.
fill in the,
Exactly. Yeah, we know the drill. Another part of that, the story of the salaries and wages budget is that it includes salary step increases for all staff. The union negotiations are still ongoing, but generally everyone on staff gets it gets 2%. So that's budgeted in to that amount.
Okay.
And benefits, that's things like workers' compensation and
Mhm.
healthcare. And so that's also, that sort of shrinks and grows outside of anything we can control. And one thing that Steve pointed out, which I kind of overlooked, is that when we look at our comparison, we should actually look back, not to last year, because last year we had some new staff come on, which saves us money. Like we the year before too, like if we have turnover in staff, we actually save money. But if you look at the 18-19 budget, we were up at 202. And so that's when we had a bit more long-term staff on payroll. And so that costs a little more. So there's that sort of fluctuation that happens in our personnel budget too. So it's not on a trend like this. It tends to go, it's a bit bumpy. Although I mean, more than anything else in our budget, it does go up. Personnel costs are the one thing that drives our budget increases. Another thing to take into account is we actually have a vacant position right now, which is in this budget, but we won't probably be filling it. It's a student page position. It's just a couple $1,000s, but right now I've just got the staff we have doing that work for us. But I've kept that position in the budget, but probably won't spend the money. So, any other questions about the personnel budget? It's complicated.
I was curious about the benefits. You said that you don't control the price that insurance make you. So it's not that it changed plan or changed benefits. Like this year, I see is like $10,000 less than last year, right?
So that kind of cost has a lot to do with, well, for instance, every employee is eligible to have their family on. And so if you have an employee who has all their family on, then you have you see a spike, which can be a long-term spike in your healthcare costs. And then if you have turnover in a position with benefits, and then the new person comes in with a different sort of set of needs on what they're going to draw on for that position, then so you'll see changes. And I think actually that's one of the big changes that you see between FY19 and 20. Don't quote me on that, but I think that was the main change that we saw there.
Yeah, thank you. Makes sense.
anything else? Anybody? Okay. Then we'll move on to B, which is that Mr. Fabulous, Mr. John McCabe, just like the Energizer Bunny, just keeps, dishing out money. I don't know. I mean, that man's amazing. And you have, how do you want me to go about trying to sign the letter to send him?
Yeah, why don't we just hold off on that for a little bit until we're,
Okay,
yeah. I'll make a note of, I'll check in with you when it's time to do it.
okay, yeah, and just let me know.
Yeah, I've forgotten about that. Yeah, John's
And
seen so many, like his stocks are doing so great that he thought, why wait? Why not just put it in? Because it takes, I don't know if I've explained this to you guys, but when, say, a person puts in $10,000 or $100,000 into the endowment, it takes 16 months to actually see the income generated off. Like it
Oh.
happens in stages. And so he started to think, well, why wait to put in 10 if I could put in 5 now, and then it has the chance to start generating income sooner. So that was kind of his thought process behind that.
really, really, really nice. Very
Yeah.
thoughtful, very thoughtful.
Very helpful. And he's actually taking part in our writing workshops right now too, and really.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
So now we'll move to C. Release of funds from the Art Education Endowment.
Do you mind if we have a vote on that?
Yeah, right. I was going to ask, we need, look like we needed a vote. So let's make a motion, somebody please, and then we can, after we have a motion in a second, we can discuss it.
I'll make a motion to use $1,000 from the Art Education Endowment to continue the Rainforest Writers Workshops for free.
I second it.
Okay, so discussion. Does anybody have anything profound they want to say here? I mean, is anybody here Mary Ellen, are you taking the writers? So
I have jumped in a few times. I didn't get on the list. I was on the waiting list, and I jumped in when someone else couldn't make it twice, which was great. It's nice. I like it. I like Oren does a really good job. And the people
he has
in
a
there-
waiting list.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
yeah. In
I
fact,
heard
I think
all-
I might have missed it already because it just came out the next session and I didn't get on it, but I haven't tried
There might
yet.
be
So
Spaces, Mary Ellen, you should jump on.
there are spaces.
I think so. Last I looked.
Well, I'm just debating because I've got this huge scanning of photos project. I've got 5 boxes that are 3 feet high and one 2 feet by 2 feet full of photos and slides from my dad. And I'm scanning them for the family. So anyway,
You need a break from doing that once in a while.
true.
You could work it into your writing.
There's a lot of memories coming out of those photos. I
There
tell
you
you,
go.
pretty interesting.
Well,
You know, that
that's
class
really,
of Orange, that class of Orange gets to be quite a community. I
It
took the
does.
class. Yeah, it's a great class. It's for a lot of reasons. And his process there, what he's, he has kind of it's a technique sort of that he is, that he went to school to learn, that he picked up on. And it's a particularly friendly and non-judgmental. So I don't know how much, the rest of you know about it, but Mary, of course you do, Mary Ellen, because you took the class, but it's like the best of all worlds there as far as getting your feet wet or honing your chops or just hanging out with other people that want to create a little verse.
Exactly. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty
I've
great.
heard only really good things about it. I've heard only really great things about it, and I would love that to support the library continuing to have it free.
so how much do we pay him? Do we pay him $1,000 and is it for 6 weeks? What I can't remember.
It doesn't really add up like that. We pay, because some of the classes are paid, the manuscript writing class right now, those people pay a fee and that's actually covering Oren's costs. We pay him
Okay.
$105 a session for the classes. And so this, you can do math on that. It doesn't quite cover all of his expenses, but most of them.
So then what the $1,000 will be used for?
for the March classes.
Okay. So it's like they're 4-week classes.
I think they're 3. There's 2.
3. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, we're paying him enough that it's a good thing for him.
We hope so.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he keeps wanting to do it, doesn't he? Okay. So if there's no other further discussion, all those in favor?
I,
I,
Right.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Hey, Marilyn, for the record, we didn't get a vote on the item before, the donation to the art.
Oh, the donation, accepting the donation. Oh my gosh. Sorry about that. You see, it's at the top of the page for me. Yes. So I would like to hear a motion to accept the donation from John McCabe, please.
I move we accept the donation.
I second it.
All those in favor?
I,
I,
Anybody opposed? How could we oppose that? Okay, motion passes.
I was gonna do it just for a joke. Just because.
Oh,
Quit playing-
okay. What's that, Alec?
I said, quit playing around, Mary Ellen.
Okay, so we're under discussion items and the new donation brochure, which you guys all have an attachment, or if you're like me, you got to print a copy, which is just great.
And it will change. This is, I mean, this is a draft version that you're looking at right now.
Okay.
I just wanted you to know this is kind of the direction we were headed with it. And if you have any comments, or we've got the font size is quite large. So means we've got wiggle room, but we don't want to pack it full of too much information. So if there's any suggestions, I'm open to them.
I think a large font size is a good idea for those people who wear glasses and have a little difficulty reading things that are in very small print. The other thing I really like is the fact that there's no red on black, because that's really hard to read that.
Yeah, that's a no-no.
I think it looks wonderful. I love it.
I like how you have different colors to highlight, like under memorial and honor gifts, highlighting birthdays, memorials, gratitude to a teacher. That really is good. Yeah. No, this is great.
And shout out to Doris Olson, who's obvious. I mean, anyone knows Doris's work can see her hand on this.
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
blue and the red.
yeah.
Yep.
Right. And having the totem there also.
Yeah.
That's great. So do you want a vote on this also?
No, I just wanted
Okay.
to see where we were working on it, and when the final version comes out, I'll show you again.
Perfect.
Great, looks good.
You have a time frame of when it would come out?
I'm hoping in the next month or so.
Okay.
I mean, it'd be nice to have it. Yeah, it'd be
Ooh,
nice to have it sooner rather than later, but it seems like my scheduling keeps getting put off by EOC stuff. The greatest of intentions to finish things like this, and then
It would be an idea to have it available during library week.
yeah, if
that's
we're open to the
possible.
public, it would be great
Yeah.
to have it. You know,
Mhm.
because we're going to send it out to a print house for publication. I'm not sure we'll meet that as a deadline for printing. It depends. Yeah.
Are we going to do other than at the library, how are you going to distribute it? Just at the library.
You know, right now, just at the library.
I wonder if we should think about seeing how much it would cost to do what do you call it in the post office when everybody gets it? And maybe the friends paying for the postage.
A mailer.
A mailer, thank you. Where it goes to everybody. I mean, I don't know if that's a good idea, but it would definitely get to people that aren't coming into the library now and trigger them to be seeking more about the library. I mean, because some people are hanging off. Anyway, and seeing how much it would cost, and the friends could probably pick it up, the postage.
Yep.
So that's just my thought.
Okay, that might be a good kind of fall thing too, because that way we could really do a little bit more of a fishing wall push
Mhm.
around the holiday season.
True. Yep.
Part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the friends doing their annual membership drive later in the year.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That all thing. Yeah.
We did do that. I'd like to include information about the library also, not just simply an ask, but a give of here's what the library has to offer. Here are some of the programs we've done in the past year. Here's what to look for coming up, and just an awareness that the library is there and what it offers. And I think there's a lot of people who just don't even think about going into the library, who might be surprised by some of the things happening. And then also to people get inundated with asks at that time of year for the end of the year tax write-offs, so it would set it apart and be offering a little something. Just an idea.
Well, and maybe we should think about it should be earlier in the year. I think that it's a good reminder that I don't, some people probably don't realize that you can donate to the library because it's part of the borough. And that we have the two, we have the art endowment and the education endowment. So it is a good thing. But I understand, I like what you're saying too, Mary Ellen, because isn't that a separate brochure that we have or not? Tara?
We have a general library brochure, but I think if we were to do something along the lines of what Mary Ellen was saying, it would be more personalized, and especially given the weird year,
Yeah.
about how I could see writing up something that's a personal letter about how we've adapted to the current situation and some of the unusual things that we're doing this year. And yeah.
And if we do those bookmark contests, we could have extra bookmarks and just tuck one in each, if it's an actual letter. If it's just a fold over flyer, it wouldn't work. But if it was a tucked in letter, it'd be kind of fun to include a bookmark for free.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love my bookmarks.
Yeah, I used to love doing that contest. It was a big deal. We really played it up every year when I was in the library at the elementary.
Yeah.
Fun.
Okay, so moving right along to Friends. What do we have, Barb?
Well, for the Friends, I'm very happy to see that the carts that have been out have actually produced some revenue. I'm
Good.
real happy to see that. Cindy and I come in usually once a week or twice a month, and we have 4 carts out there. And when Tara's cleaning out books from the library, those are there, and the DVDs are a huge draw. So I'm really pleased. Love to get more books, because there's a lot of books that have been out on those carts for quite a while, and it's always nice to have new ones. So if anybody has any thoughts on how we can do that, I would even pick up, maybe not today, but pick up books. So whatever, but at least it's working a little bit, and I think it brings some people into the library who maybe wouldn't come in.
It definitely does. We see lots of people at those carts, not all together. They're spaced out the way they should be, but we definitely see people come in for those carts. There's no question about it. People love it, and they love the great gems that they find there too.
So I have a pile. Can I bring them by? And what do we do with the library closed, or is now not a good time?
With the library closed, nobody should really be coming into the
Okay.
facility. When it goes to orange, we can revisit it. And we are looking into not quarantining materials for a full 3 days.
Oh, good.
When the case count locally goes back to yellow, gets us back into yellow status, we'll probably do less quarantining of materials. So that might help us solve this problem of how to get sorry, I've got someone at my door. Sorry, how to get the materials from people in a way that's sort of safe and doesn't require you interacting with random people from around town.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we still kind of have it in the back of our head, because that we talked about trying to, with the book sale once, and if it ever gets to where we can, that we could have maybe even some outside thing or something, I don't know. So that's still something too, once town gets their act together. Anyway, okay, so now we're appropriate. Oh no, Tara, C. I didn't write down what C was.
Oh, C is Sunday opening.
Right.
So we've had a request from Assembly Member Jeff Michi to reconsider opening on Sundays, Sundays. And now the history of this, at least it's not been around for the history of this. So I think every year since, not every year, but very relatively annually, since maybe 2017 or 18, the board has considered it. Because it would be wonderful. There's no question about that. And it shows a great degree of support for the library, which is awesome. But generally what we always seem to come back to is that it's a budget issue to open the libraries on Sundays. And I'm thinking the last time we talked about it, based on my calculations, we'd be looking at approximately a 10% increase to the library's overall budget to make this a reality. And I think it was the year before last, the Assembly actually voted on that particular issue and voted it down 6-1. And so the borough manager suggested that that be the same path this request takes. But I don't know. I wanted to hear from you guys what your feelings are about it and what direction I should go with it.
I think from what I remember, the last time we talked about this, I thought it had to do with the amount of part-time positions and full-time positions, and that they kind of fit like a puzzle, and we'd have to hire a whole new position to be able to open on Sundays with the way that the hours, they can only have, like, the part-time positions can only have so many hours. So if we open on Sundays, then one of those part-time positions, I believe, would have to become a full-time position or something like that.
I would think to keep costs down, the scenario was 2 part-time positions. And so
Oh, yeah.
that allows for sick time and paid time off, which is a regular occurrence. And it just, yeah, so I think we split it into 2 part-time positions because full-time would be significantly more than 10% of the library's budget.
Right. So maybe what it was it last time that it was the combination of the staff that we had, there wasn't anybody who the hours weren't going to work out. So maybe there's a different combination now.
Yeah. Essentially, so we have, I think, 5 full-time equivalent staff. So we only have 2 full-time people on staff, and just give everyone the whole picture again. 2 full-time people on staff, a 3/4 time, and everyone else is part-time. And so with the hours that were already open, we struggle to cover the hours that we are already open, although not right now because we're closed Mondays due to COVID. That's a caveat. And so going to a 7-day-a-week operation would definitely put us at a pretty tenuous, it would be pretty tenuous with with the addition of 2 part-time people, because we can see at any point in time, if 2 full-timers have family emergencies or out sick, quit, you end up with the house of cards, just like,
Yeah.
And we're very lucky. All of the staff who work for the library will just step up and do anything to cover for a coworker who's got something going on, sick kid or whatever. And it works, I think, because of their generosity with their time and their flexibility and their willingness to just do anything that needs to be done to make it work. And there's a real hesitancy amongst staff to open on Sundays because it's the one day they know I'm not going to bug them to work. So just from that perspective, I think we already do what we do with a pretty skeleton crew. And so it would be a challenge.
I know many years ago we talked about this, and I know the subject came up of what about closing one of the weekdays and being open on Sunday instead. And I can't remember the arguments back and forth on that. Nobody really wants to work on Sundays probably, but for some people it might not matter. And I don't know what the thoughts are on that.
I think that we looked at the statistics and saw that Mondays and Tuesdays, even though that's a working day, are actually have always been some of our busiest times. And Saturdays aren't actually particularly busy, even though it's a day that people aren't working. So it's sort of a bit of a paradox. It's not really what you'd expect, but that's sort of what we saw. But that said, now people are used to us being closed on Mondays, so Tuesdays are our busiest day. So we have this interesting thing where we've weaned people off of Monday with very little concern from folks. And so when we go and start to look at reopening on Mondays, that might be a legitimate, if you guys want to pursue that as a conversation, we can revisit it as a stay closed Sundays or stay closed Saturday, Mondays, and then open on Sundays. And then I could take that to the staff and see how many staff are willing, like sort of just see how that would look from a scheduling perspective and see if it's viable.
What I remember we talked about too is there were a lot of programs during the week that happened in the morning and some happened in the afternoon. And we were reluctant to cut the time for a lot of the in-house programs. Now, maybe that's changed, I don't know. But the other thing I remember is an amount of $40,000 to be open on Sunday if we were to remain open the same amount of time every other day.
That's correct, Barb. That's the 10% of the
Okay.
library budget.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Well, and I imagine there are some people who would then have issue too with maybe working on a Sunday, or just community pushback. You know how some people can be about Sundays. I know with the sports program, they had an issue, I think, with playing sports on a Sunday for some of the students. But, whatever. You could always be open after 1 or whatever, or afternoon.
Yeah, I think at the time it seemed like the programs that were happening, we felt we should keep the hours of opening the same so we didn't cut any of the programming that was going on.
Yeah, and access to the meeting rooms was definitely for the public was an issue then. Of course, it's not an issue now, but when we
But it will be.
future, it will become an issue. Again, because Mondays are a good meeting night. Mondays are a good meeting day. Sundays, not so much.
Right.
But how significant that a factor that is, I can't say. I don't really know.
Well, I'm curious that I know we talked about this, that Saturdays weren't that busy, which seems counterintuitive that since school isn't operating, people would be here on Saturdays, but well, we're not open now, but that's still the case, it sounds like.
Yeah, it is still pretty much the case.
Yeah.
Saturdays aren't what you think they would be, given nobody works or is at school. Well, not nobody.
I think as a family with me, like with our family, for instance, like the weekdays, I don't know, there's something about you're kind of like busy and you're going to school anyway and you're picking them up, you're going from school, and you just sort of the natural thing is you go to the library after school or in the evening. It's like it's kind of part of your like, I'm on my way kind of thing.
Right.
Now when my kids were really little, obviously the programming is what drew me, but now that my kids are older, it's more like, well, even when we got past the littles time, it's sort of like on the way home kind of stuff. And on the weekends, that's when we kind of like, you're kind of like, you do your own thing, you're on your own time, you do like you're going outside or you're camping and you're going away from town or you're getting away from town or something. And at least for our family, and that might be some for others, where the library is such a natural extension of your day. At least it was for us.
I think we were really good
after school and evening.
I think we see a lot of that, people running in on their way to the grocery store, on their way back from the grocery store. Like people, when they're active and doing things, they find a way to fit us in. And all you need to do is look around town on Sundays to see that, man, it's so sleepy. I mean, people really do hunker down on Sundays, even when we're not in COVID times. It definitely is. There's something different about how people structure their time.
So when
most people are, it would be like that. I wonder what Jeff's, did we suppose constituents put Jeff up to this, or is he just wants to hear the conversation?
he, as far as I know, he doesn't talk to me about it except to say that people
Oh.
ask him.
Well, of course, I wouldn't
A
ask
lot.
you because I know that you shouldn't. Yeah, I know. I was just throwing it
But-
out there.
Right, no, Tara probably, I mean, people do ask him about that.
Uh-huh.
They want the library open.
And so, okay, so, but we're
Well, and
talking,
this
so,
isn't the first time he's
No, it's not the first time, right?
right. And he actually came to our meeting, I think that
Mhm.
like last year, because he does have constituents that come to him. So he's on their behalf coming to find out more. And I think it's a good question. I mean, it's definitely one that's always coming up. So I kind of like the idea of the way you mentioned of the fact that, you know, Mondays we've already been closed now, and maybe to rethink about, okay, well, do we want to try a Sunday opening if we're gonna, once it's time to like relax and let's say we were gonna reopen on Mondays, do we want to then have the conversation, well, do we want to do it Sunday instead and just give it a try and see what happens? Because that would be the perfect time to try it, when
Right.
Mondays are already closed and we're not changing anything and we don't have to spend any extra money.
Yeah.
It'd almost be like an experiment.
Except I go back to, I don't know who said this, Mary Ellen, or that Sundays are, a lot of it is family time, and it's not, you know, Gina, like what you said, the people aren't thinking about going to the library on Sundays, but maybe that's because it's closed on Sunday, so they're not thinking of going. But
Well, some people, I mean, obviously, yes, some people aren't going to, but other people keep asking, you know, so there are some people who do want it. So,
Mhm.
kind of, we need kind of a show of hands, or, you know, and that's what you're saying is we could see that if you gave it a trial.
Yeah, you know,
yeah, I
then
think it would-
sometimes I think though, if we start messing with hours and days, it gets confusing for people. That can be problematic too. So we need to be careful not to, you know, change, you know, I don't know.
You
just
look
seems
like
like if-
Paul-
The cheese guy, what's his name?
Wallace and
now's a good
Gromit.
time.
Wallace and Gromit. I really love
Oh,
those
good.
movies.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know, and then we would have to track numbers and see, do the numbers go down generally after this time when we made this change? I don't know. It sounds like, well,
I have a suggestion. Tara, how hard is it to set up a monkey survey?
Oh, it's very simple to do the Survey Monkey thing. We had actually talked about this last time when we were
Mhm.
considering.
Well, what I'm thinking is, what we should think about is, maybe we should do that where we put on there, have it stay have it stay how it is, Sunday closed. I mean, and after COVID, Monday will be reopened, or after everything's done, would you like to see it Tuesday through Sunday? And just see if we could, and is it something that we could have on more than one website to capture more than, like, say, have it on the library site and maybe the borough's site?
Yeah, we could probably do a fairly robust job of marketing it. It would
Uh-huh.
always be limited to people who are online, but I mean that's a number that's growing. We could even do paid Facebook posts so it reaches every Facebook
Mhm.
person in Petersburg.
Right.
That kind of thing. But yeah, if we decide to pursue a change like that, I think the main thing is that we would need to know for a fact that it was doable before we put that information
Right.
out there. Because even if you
Right.
say it once, people think it's going to happen. Even if you say we're thinking about doing
Right.
it,
Mhm.
it can be a little sticky when
Yeah.
people hear stuff like that. And we found that with various things, like when they were talking about cutting the library's budget and cutting hours, a surprising number of people say, I hear your hours are changing. And that was just not even a thing. So I think if we do that, we should do it real strategically and make sure that we can and will do whatever the outcome of that survey is, we can
Yeah.
accomplish it.
Right, right.
Right, and that's kind of why I said either or, not 7 days a week, you know, but either or.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just an idea. It seems like more people are getting used to doing surveys online.
Mhm.
Maybe there's another way that we can think of to capture the attention of people that don't go online and get their view, that use the library.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
the
it's a
school's
great
been
idea
using
to-
it.
Go, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I just said the school has been using them a lot lately to, you know, to try to
Mhm.
find out what the, people are, getting the feelings from everybody. And it's pretty handy. Those Google forms even are like really easy.
Yeah.
Okay,
Super easy to set up and do. It's just a matter of making sure we're asking the right questions, and then we have
right.
lined up to do what we say we might be doing. If the survey, because we'll be bound to a certain extent to the outcome of that survey. If to do a good survey, you do it and then you tell your
Well-
students what your results are, and then you do the thing.
Yeah.
So hopefully that would be the path we would be able to follow with the survey.
Go ahead, Gina.
Well, just before you do any kind of, like before you do the survey, like you said, wanting to make sure it's something that we would be able to actually make happen. That I think maybe the first step would be to really talk to the staff,
Yes.
because it would have to be the staff that would be like, well, no, I don't want to work Sundays, and or I do, yeah, I would work Sundays, or just like, you have to know if you're going to even have people, like you said, you kind of like that they knew that they weren't going to have that day, or you know what I mean. So
Yeah. And if you do go to church, you just don't want to work Sunday. It's that simple. It's not a work day for
Right.
for
Right.
us, for the population.
Right.
I'll check in with everybody. I mean, this wouldn't happen until the community was well into green status,
Right.
timeline wise. So I don't know when it's going to
Yeah.
happen.
We have time.
For all I know.
Right.
That was kind of the way that I tried to get a sense of how to go forward, or how to I don't know. I just asked all the staff, and there was nobody that wanted to work on Sunday last. That was that's anecdotally my experience.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And
oh,
as
go
far
ahead.
as like Jeff, he's asking right now, and he's got people that are asking him. So
Yeah.
we can, I mean, the thing is it is a hard time right now to think about it, even if we weren't having this spike. I mean, just COVID in general has made things, I mean, if we're closed on Mondays because of COVID, anyway, and we're so to think about opening a 7th day during a time where we can't really even stay open our normal schedule. I feel like we like you said, we have time. It's not something that we have to like say, but at least to tell Jeff, we can say that we did have a conversation about it. And we're going to check in with some staff, and we have got some ideas that we're throwing around, but I guess it's kind of like right now too hard to make any kinds of decisions like that with COVID going on. At least expanding it to 7 days a week, but we could try to flip flop a day if the staff was into it. I'm just trying to boil it down to.
Well,
that-
the other part of that too would be if we were to be open 7 days a week, then that affects the budget. And I'm assuming that then the assembly would have to vote on a higher budget for the library.
Exactly. And that's kind of how and when we boiled it down last time, it came down to, it's a budget issue more than it is of what would be great, or even what staff wanted. It's a budget issue, and it, as I said, it was voted down 6-1, and voted down by some of our biggest supporters on the assembly, which was kind of weird. And this could go down that path again, just to let you know, like that process could just play out during the budget process. Doesn't take much for assembly members to make that kind of decision happen. So just to be aware of that as a possibility.
Right, because probably, I mean, the best way to do it would be to hire the 2 part-time staffs that they would, to have somebody focused on Sundays and not cut the other days. But I had a question about, you were talking about Saturdays and how there's not as many people as you think. So when we were cooking along a year ago, March, as we were, and were there more people on the Saturdays that the book sale happened? Were there more people that came into the library that day?
Anecdotally, I would say yes.
Yes.
And that the staff did mention that when the book sale was on, that's when it was busy. And then after that, it would just be like a snooze. So,
The
but I
book-
don't have the data to support that. That's strictly anecdotal.
The book
Right.
sale days, all I can say is the doors are open 11 and there was probably 30 people coming through the door. And
Mhm.
by noon, nobody's here
Yeah.
on this Saturday. It was amazing, the difference.
Yeah. And if you
We
have a-
move the book sale to Sunday. No,
No, no. No,
then people will go if we open it on Sunday anyway. No. Okay, so is everybody,
Are there people that we can serve on Sunday that we can't serve? I mean, is there an obvious, like, reason there?
I know one of the people that really, really wanted, it's Lizzie, and it's too bad she couldn't be here because she would speak to that. She just felt that her family would use the library on Sundays because she just had grown up that way. And I can remember when Hannah and Gina were in high school and I ended up being in Haynes more than once and being in the Haynes Library on Sunday more than once and going and coming back here and saying to whichever librarian before, Tara, you may have been anyway, was why can't we be open on Sundays? I can remember feeling that way when I was out of town, not necessarily for our town, but anyway, so.
Well,
some
I guess
folks just-
another
Go
quick
ahead.
question for Jeff and for those people that are wanting to have Sundays as a possibility is are they looking to have it open 7 days a week, or are they just looking to have Sundays open?
good question.
So would they be happy with Mondays not being there, but just that Sundays were an option? I mean, that would be maybe something Jeff could. But I don't know if we want to get people talking about that either. So
Not yet.
Yeah, as you say, now is such a funny time to be talking about making changes.
right.
Really, we don't have any comparison data at this point. We don't. Everything is just so weird.
Yeah. And it's also like, I mean, someone mentioned before that you have to be careful about making changes, but I do feel like, I don't know, like I'm just sort of like everything's so crazy wonky right now that I'm like, whatever, just
And
Yeah,
change is good
we're-
too.
we're having to roll with it everything all the time right now. So what's one more thing?
And we found that too with our Sunday closure. I don't know if you guys are hearing anything about it, but I was expecting quite a lot of talk about that, and I'm not hearing anything.
Of
You
of
mean
the
your
closure?
Monday closure.
Oh, Monday closure. Can't remember
Yeah,
what
no, I
Yeah,
haven't
Monday
either.
closure.
That,
that just was a blip, and that really
Well,
shocked me.
honestly, I don't even think I really knew until like I came to, I mean, or maybe I forgot from our meeting. I just can't remember coming and being like, oh, like going,
Right.
pulling the door and being like,
That
What?
was me.
oh,
I'm like, why isn't the door open?
right. And then
Why
I
is
was
it
like,
dark in there?
oh, they're closed now. Oh, okay. Well, whatever. And then I just went on, you know.
I think
We'll
that
come back
was the
tomorrow.
response, and
Yeah.
that really surprised me. I thought there'd be people that were a little put out by that, but we haven't had any feedback.
I think because everybody's like, geez, COVID's just crazy. We're gonna have to deal with a lot of. We're gonna have to. We're sacrificing a lot. So,
So
so
Tara,
that's just one more thing. So, geez, let's open on Sundays and not tell anyone, and then
Yeah.
see what happens.
so Tara, with your extra being with the EOC right now, do you have time to talk to Jeff, or should we ask Gina to talk to Jeff? It doesn't work well to have, even though I'm kind of the chair or whatever, it probably would
Oh.
work better if someone different. I mean, because and maybe you're too busy, Tara. I don't know.
Well, I do think that Jeff has heard from me, and he probably knows exactly. He could probably write me exactly what I'm going to say, which is that I think it's a budget issue.
Okay.
Um,
So Gina, do you want to talk to him about what we were just discussing?
because you had some really good points, Gina. Would you feel comfortable in that?
You did. You had some really good points.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when, like, how? Because I don't really see anyone.
Well, you just do like what we're doing right now. You
Oh,
can
you mean like meet with him
Yeah.
via Zoom?
Zoom, or you can just call him.
Telephone.
Oh, just call him. Okay, yeah, I can call him. I have his number.
Yeah. I mean, you
I mean,
had some really good points for him the people that want him to do this to be thinking about.
Okay,
You
well, then let me just make sure that I clear the points, which is it's, Tara, it's a budget issue ultimately.
Mhm.
And then there's the well,
Yeah,
can he
but-
just watch our meeting right now? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You're funny.
So
Actually, that's a really good idea.
Oh, yeah, except you know how many meetings he's doing right now?
I know, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
Okay.
I don't mind calling him. I just want
You
to make
could-
sure.
You can always look back and get your points down. I mean,
guess
I
I
can't
could do the
remember
same thing, yeah.
exactly. I can't remember exactly what you said, but I was going like, those are really good points. I
Well,
should
then
have
there's
written it
just
down.
like the COVID, it's a weird time to be changing anything. And then also, do you want it 7 days a week or can you flip?
Right.
I like the experiment that you suggested since we already have 1 day closed, whenever COVID is better, to experiment having Sunday open and keeping the Monday on, just to see if there is actually a response from community, because people maybe wish a lot of things, but then they don't actually realize, oh, this really don't fit in my Sunday schedule. I don't know.
Right.
But
Right. But I
also
also,
that I want to ask about the budget, since it's a budget problem, if staff is okay for working Sunday, was it ever considered to reduce maybe even just 1 hour a day during
Yes, it was.
but
And-
it's not a good idea?
Well, the reason that we did not do that is because there were so many programs going on almost every day, morning and evening and afternoon. And that would mean cutting the kids program or right now, since we're not open, that's not so much of an issue as it was then. But I think people are thinking, God, I hope this is over soon so we can go back to having the programs in the community room. I get that all the time from,
There are programs even like in the morning at 11.
yes,
Little
story
kids.
time. Yes, little kids. Yeah.
programs would be
yeah,
the-
I lived for those programs when I had little kids.
Yep. So that was the issue, was what do you cut out? And then you're making somebody uncomfortable or angry that all of a sudden my story program time is gone. Or we talked about that a lot.
And I do think the staffing issue for me is going to be the biggest one because,
Yes.
I mean, there's really, like I said, only one other full-time person on staff here. That person would really need to start working on Sundays, and I don't know if she wants to.
How many people have to be in the library for the library to be open? Is there a minimum?
One,
Oh, just one.
but we just need to make sure that if that one person gets pulled away for something.
Could it be that the person that you hired, the new part-time person, is set up for work on Sunday, so she
Mhm.
is already like in the position description?
Yeah, so the full-time person would be backup for that person. That's how we do Saturdays right now. So we have 2 part-timers that cover the shift because it takes, your person can't work for more than 4 hours without a break. And so we have 2 part-timers that do 2 4-hour shifts. And then Kari is here through the day if one of those people has a problem, can't work. And so that's, for me, that's beautiful to have. Having 2 people in the building is perfect because then if one person has an issue, the second person is there immediately to fill the void. So that's for me, that's an ideal staffing situation. We don't always accomplish that.
Tara, do you pay somebody more to work Sunday than any other day of the week? Is that an issue?
No, the wages are set by the union, and any shift that starts after 12 o'clock actually makes a 50%, we call it a shift differential, or 50-cent shift differential on their
sorry,
hourly wage.
If you
50
start
cents.
after 12?
50 cents more on any shift that starts after 12 o'clock. So if you're scheduled from 4 to 8, then you make an extra 50 cents an hour.
Oh. Who knew?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But one message I would like Jeff to hear is just how much we're talking here, who he's hearing from. He's hearing from library supporters. He's hearing from people that think the library is awesome and want us to be open more and
Right.
would be happy to expand our budget. And so I think that's really great. And that's what makes the request such a challenge is to say no to a group of folks that are dedicated to us and support us. And so I always feel a little weird about it.
Yeah.
You know, because we've got an assembly person who's super gung ho and supportive, and we've got constituents who are super gung ho and supportive. And here I am saying,
Right.
it's weird. It makes
Well, I
me,
think that speaks to the fact that it's always different behind the scenes.
Yes,
It's
Yeah,
no
and
matter what,
yeah, it's just
no matter-
operational. It's an operational.
Yeah.
problem for me.
and for the people who actually work things, it's a totally different story than the idea of being open on a Sunday. It's like,
Yeah.
so you can say all you want. Well, yeah, we support the library. We want it open on the Sunday, but then you're like, yeah, but then come and you have to work because that's too hard. That's like whenever I do that about fundraisers or whatever, there's always like all the extra work that are behind the scenes for things
Mhm.
that you think, oh, or like just do a fundraiser. It's like, oh my God, but it's so hard. There's so much to do. And so then you that's kind of the thing where I see that where you're coming from, Tara, is you see all the details. And that's why, and I understand why you feel strange about it, because you know that they're coming from support, but it's just the numbers are always, the numbers make it, and the budget makes it weird, and schedules and staffing.
Yeah.
I have a question. Yeah, I mean, I saw Jeff at the post office the other day. If we happen to see each other, is it okay to talk to him about this? Just one-on-one, or is it not okay since I'm a member of the board?
No, I think it's great. Go ahead.
Okay.
I think talking to him is how we find out where,
Okay,
you know, more information from him about where he's coming from. I think that's great.
okay.
With a mask on, of course.
Yeah, oh, we had our mask on, yes.
Because you're in a federal building, if you're at the post office.
That's right.
Mhm. So that's the other thing he needs to know, but he won't hear it from me, that we discuss this for at least 20 minutes or more. This isn't something we think lightly about.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I actually made a point to say, we spent a good deal of time. Actually, it's 20 minutes past 3. I have a parent teacher conference coming up. So I need to
Okay.
but I'll mention to him that that we did give it a long discussion.
Right. Because we have more, actually, we discussed this one more than anything else, this
Yeah,
agenda.
I was definitely going to tell him that for sure.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Gina. I hope I didn't put you on the spot by
No,
asking.
that's
you to do
fine. I
that.
totally understand about your position. I know there's like same with me and Paul when it comes to like Forest Service stuff. We're like, we just easier to just have it go through a different
That's right.
so.
Okay, so does anybody else have anything they, as Sue Paulson would say, for the good of the order? I do hope that everybody is thinking about maybe something that we could do, or not we, the friends, not we, the library board, that might work to enhance the fact of the libraries in town. Let people know that the Friends of the Library is active in supporting all the libraries. There's something that we can do in these COVID times. Probably we'll try and really do the bookmark, but maybe there's something else you guys might have ideas about. And if so, you can call Sue Paulson or me. Okay, so is there a tentative, another date for our next meeting, Tara?
I totally forgot about that. I'll get
That's okay.
probably 4 weeks from now.
So what would that be? Let me look.
Early April.
I like the 2 o'clock time, by the way.
Well, actually, it could be March 31st because we have 5 Wednesdays.
Yeah, let's tentatively say March the 31st then.
Does 2 o'clock work for everybody else?
Yes, for me it does.
Okay. So we'll do that. Yeah, actually, what am I saying? It works for me too, because Maeve is getting more active when I have her. So anyway, okay, perfect. March 31st, 2 o'clock. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move we adjourn the meeting.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thanks, everybody. Thank you
Nice
for
to
a great
see everybody.
discussion and showing up and being chipper.
Okay, bye,
Go
everyone.
forth, go forth and read.
Yes.
See everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.